Hey everyone, Angie Crawford here, and I am going to tell you all about the session, Ancient Aliens, Humankind's Mysterious Origins. This was at 2 p.m. on Saturday the 4th in the main stage. And I don't think I told you about the different rooms that they have, so I'll do that right now. There are 4 rooms at AlienCon. There's the main stage, which was in its separate building. Then the second stage was the Orion stage, and then there were 2 other rooms, the Jupiter and the Venus. And this one happened to be in the main stage. Can you hear that dog barking? It's like he doesn't stop. But at any rate, I think he's just so excited about AlienCon review with Angie Crawford. He just can't contain himself. I can understand that. At any rate, so the panelists were Giorgio A. Tsoukalos, Eric Von Daniken, David Childress, and William Henry, and it was moderated by Max Thompson, who is an executive producer for Ancient Aliens. So first of all, this is a photo of the main hall from the outside. This is what it looks like. And then this is the inside of the theater. Now, this photo isn't all that great because this was, again, it was early on in the day there was that rule about how, they didn't want any recording and such. So I just wanted to make sure I could get a quick shot. So anyway, that's the inside of the theater. And then this is the panel. Now, if you watched an earlier video of mine, I talked about how it's nice to be up front, that where you're in the center and such, because you don't have to turn because of your neck. Well, this panel I happened to be attending with a friend of mine, and she just had, I believe it's called the Cosmic Pass. So she got to sit up front, but she had to sit on the side. So I just chose to sit with her there. So that's why this photo is at a little bit of an angle. But we enjoyed it nonetheless. Anyway, so this was a really kind of an odd panel in the sense that this was all just a bunch of random thoughts. So things just kind of kept coming out of left field. So, but as the reporter, I'm going to tell you what was said, but it's not like there's a super coherence, consistency of what like one thing naturally led to another. So first of all, Giorgio talked about panspermia versus directed panspermia. Panspermia is when other bodies in our universe spew out stuff, and then that stuff just happens to land on planet Earth, and then something grows or evolves from that stuff. Directed panspermia is when someone specifically puts stuff on Earth from outer space somewhere, which then results in human beings or trees or things like that. And they believe that Earth was colonized effectively with directed panspermia. Eric Von Daniken said, regarding extraterrestrials, he said that God is all over. He said that when he was in Catholic school, in high school, he had to translate the Bible into both Latin and Greek, so he knows it very well. And the Bible states that God needed a vehicle to go from point A to point B, which doesn't make sense because God is all over. So therefore, in the Bible, they couldn't be talking about God. They must have been talking about someone else. And then supposedly, too, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, but it was all done with smoke and lights. He says, this doesn't make sense, too. And then God says, I will return. Well, God is everywhere, so it can't be God. So who's going to return? So therefore, it has to be that the Bible is even talking about extraterrestrials. But therefore, ETs took our genes and combined them with others to create us, when it comes to evolution. Over time, they changed the mutation, which is how we continue to evolve. So then they tweaked one more thing, and that resulted in us having curiosity, say. Then David Childress started talking about Bigfoot. He said that he's always been fascinated by Bigfoot. When he was younger, he thought that Bigfoot was the missing link. He said that Bigfoot does exist and that he's curious about us. He said he doesn't have speech, he whistles and he chatters. In addition, he's afraid of fire, so he won't eat cooked food. Then they started going back again, talking about our brains. And they said 200,000 years ago, our neocortex was activated, which gave us art and music. And they said this wasn't natural. 75,000 years ago, there was an explosion of human art. And 40,000 years ago, there was an explosion of human art. Ptah, the technology god in ancient Egypt, has a double helix in his cartouche, which is our DNA. So they said that Ptah is the one who fashioned us. He tweaked our DNA and he fused something to make us evolve to who we are today. They said it's religion versus science or God versus evolution. Then Eric also mentioned we look at ourselves as the greatest. We need to learn to become humble again. We are just one species on this great planet. Our brain, they said our brain has evolved to 60% capacity in 85,000 years, which is way too fast for evolution. Therefore, someone must have given us improvements. So if this isn't natural, well, then who did it? Eric said, with certain politicians, evolution has gone backwards. So that's cute. He's a very funny man. Then David said, we're getting taller. He said 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, though, everything was bigger. There were giants, woolly mammoths, the insects were bigger, etc. But yet they've also found skeletons of hobbit people. Then he said people change height after wars. He said a huge group of people goes into battle and then are killed, and then the population gets shorter. He said after the Napoleonic Wars, the average French person was 3 inches shorter. Now, I looked this up. This sounds just a little bizarre to me, and I couldn't find anything to corroborate that information. But, is it just because maybe the tall people are bigger targets, so they get killed in war? Or, seriously, it's like they're more robust or something. So then if you measure the population, the big guys bit the dust. I have no idea. I don't know. I just thought that was just a little bit of an odd statement. Not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it's odd, and I couldn't find any information to back that up. So then they talked about how so many groups of people say that their ancestors told them that beings came from the sky and taught them things. Yet archaeologists say that these stories aren't true. And they say, really, oral traditions are very precise. Then they went on to talk about the imperial regalia of Japan. There are 3 items, a jewel, a sword, and a mirror. And these things are intentionally kept from the public. Supposedly they came from the sun. They're also known as the celestial regalia because they are of celestial origin. Eric said, then he went on to talk about the Ark of the Covenant, and he said that this is an extraterrestrial object. He said he saw it in Ethiopia, and he said it's not from this earth. Then William said that Earth was seeded by beings who retreated to the sun. And then Giorgio talked a little bit about misunderstood technology, which, he has talked about that in the past. They said most species tend to go most species tend to go extinct, but we're still here. How? The ETs save us and evolve our DNA. They want to see how far we can go as a society. But Eric said that he doesn't know if they'll save us a 3rd time. I'm not sure what that means, but that's what he said. And they said the ETs are still manipulating us today. William said that plus now it's also in our hands because of the technological revolution of, science and what we're doing and the ethics behind it, the morality, what have you. Then Eric went on to talk about how the ETs they're mostly concerned with planet Earth though. So for example, if there's an oil spill in the Gulf, they're going to try to help and protect Mother Earth first. We human beings, our problems are our problems. William said that geologists don't know what ended the last ice age. The ice was 1 mile thick. So, again, it's like, was there assistance? Did something come in? What have you? And Giorgio said that there are fossilized palm trees in Switzerland. So for sure, there has been at least 1 pole shift. So then they took questions from the audience, and I left at that time because I wanted to make sure that I got to the next session. And this was a really nice panel, but they really didn't talk about anything new. It was just really great to see everyone in person again. And Giorgio was so happy that everyone was there. He just had such light inside of him, and he was so grateful, and he just felt so blessed and such. And that really raised the energy of the room. Wow. So just because the energy was so great, I give the session Ancient Aliens, Humankind's Mysterious Origins, an 8.
Must see that.
So anyway, so that is that panel. I will be back shortly with more exciting information from AlienCon. If you have any questions or comments, please write that in the comment section. And I am Angie Crawford. This is AlienCon Review. Thanks for watching.